All right. Good evening, everyone. It's time to bring the Columbus City Board of Zoning Appeals regular March 4th, 2025 meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Kathy Gardner, Patricia Hatcher,
Here.
John Kissinger,
Here.
Anthony Romano,
Here.
Dennis Warnick.
Present.
Okay. Previous meeting minutes. We have the August previous meeting minutes. Has everybody had time to look at that? Any questions?
I make a motion to be approved as distributed. Second.
I have a motion from Dennis and a second from Tony. All those in favor, raise the right hand.
Abstain because I wasn't here.
One abstained. Thank you. Oath to the witnesses. If you have anything tonight and you want to speak, please stand up and Greg will swear you in.
Anybody going to speak on behalf of the museum? Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you are about to offer will be the truth? If so, answer I do.
I do.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you. Old business, Nathan. Moving on to new business. We have 25-C-VAR-1, Whitley County Historical Museum. As for variance of the sign code 301 North Main Street. Staff report.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So going to the staff report. The variance tonight is at 301 North Main Street. This is owned by, I believe, the Historical Society, but the petition is being applied for in conjunction between the museum and Historical Society. The property is zoned R1, single family residential. Overall size is 6,700 square feet. What is being proposed is to replace the existing identification sign that's on the corner with a new one in the same location that includes an electronic message center, EMC. The Board of Works, and I just realized I misspelled board. Whatever. Already approved the location.
Keeps us awake.
Yeah. It's not the only thing I screwed up tonight, I bet. Approved the location in the right-of-way. We're here tonight. You can see all the different sizes and so on in the table, which is also in the written staff report. We're here tonight because the code permits EMCs in commercial zoning by right with certain standards, and for community centers, schools, parks, and fire stations, those uses explicitly stated if they're located in any zoning district. Museums are not in that enumerated list, so they're not exempted when they're not in a commercial zoning district. So the request tonight for the EMC is why we're here. All of the other aspects are met. Again, as we've discussed, the setback part of the zoning is trumped by the Board of Works granting of permission to be located in the right-of-way. Going on, highlighted there in blue is the site. Of relevance is the fact that we do have LB zoning on the south side of Jefferson Street, starting with Smith and Sons and then going on south. So this is immediately adjacent to commercial zoning. It's just on the other side of the street. Closer view for reference, the museum itself is there to the west. This is the existing sign from a couple of years ago. It's Google Street View. The proposed sign, this is actually going to be slightly shorter than the existing sign, still well within both sign area and height requirements and outside of the site visibility triangle requirement. You can see the portion that would be the EMC. Going to the review criteria, staff doesn't feel that this would be especially injurious to public health, safety, morals. The sign, the EMC component of it, again, we do allow for EMCs in the city. If this was zoned commercial, if this was literally across the street, we wouldn't be here for the EMC component of it. So don't really have much concern. Of course, general welfare always could be impacted if we don't have site-specific difficulties. Use and value, again, EMCs could go in within eyeshot of any of these residences immediately across the street. So it doesn't seem to be that this particular sign at this location would create a substantial impact. And then finally, strict application. It does seem like the staff's interpretation of having that enumerated list of uses, those are probably the most common uses to be found in non-commercial areas. But staff's interpretation is that any other uses may still fit into the same sort of thing. It's just not as likely to fit. And so it warrants far more a review. Now, one could say that's why we have special exception, but one could also say that's why we have variances. Just depends on your viewpoint. Either way, the code as written, in order to do this here, needs the variance, and that's why we're here. I think that kind of covers everything I've got to say. Any questions for me at this point?
I don't believe so. All right, well, the petitioner would like to go to the podium and state name and address, and maybe give us any other information that Nathan hasn't.
So my name is Russ Gilliam. I'm chairman of the Whitley County Historical Society. This is Angie,
And I'm with
she's
Fast Sign, so we're actually
sign
the maker of the
person.
sign.
And our old sign, just kind of preliminary, the framework was kind of rotten and falling apart, and it was just to stick the letters up there. And we don't really have a surplus of signage in our Columbia City area. I've talked to the mayor about this a couple of times, and they're working on it. But to identify where some different places are. So we needed a change for better visibility and to help draw people to the museum, even though it's been there a long time and people don't even realize it's there. So Angie's just done a great job. And just as a comparison with the Lutheran church down there, this is going to be a much easier and readable sign. It won't be that star blast in your eyes. And there's some nice features that Angie's going to tell about that makes it more neighborhood friendly. Like you can dim it and
Yes.
a lot of other things,
So
which is really, I think, a nice thing. So really, I just think it's going to be a great thing for the museum. And we've talked about with Smith's too, that they may want to put some advertising up there for different events, or other people who could have that available for other uses too. So anyhow.
Yep.
We'll have Angie give you some more technical details.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with it being a residential area, it has the capability to where you can actually put it to sleep. So like say after 10 p.m. you guys want it off. We have the capability of like 10 p.m. to like 7 a.m. to turn it off. And then we can actually turn it back on. So basically it just goes into like a sleep mode. There's dimmers on it. So for some reason, if it's really bright one day, it'll dim itself. It's got like an automatic dimmer on it. So it's not going to be something where it can just be like he said, blinding people. We do have capability. If it's a little bit brighter, we can turn it down. So that makes it a little bit easier too. So you're just not like having this bright sign out there and, trying to work with, the public. As far as like strobing, things like that, I always tell people no strobing, no videos, because that's going to cause a distraction for people. So those are definitely things that, we can definitely not do on those.
Does
And
it,
if you want, but you don't have to.
does it automatically dim down as it gets
Yes.
dark at night? Because obviously you don't do it this year, okay.
Yep. Yep, and the top part does light up.
Okay.
So that'll be just like a lit part, and then the rest of it will be digital.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions?
Mm-mm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak on behalf of the petitioner? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against the petitioner? Hearing none, I close the floor and open it to board discussion or motion.
I'll make the motion for the approval of 25C-VAR-1. Did you have any conditions on there? I didn't think so.
No, with the EMCs in the city, because EMCs are already
Right.
permitted, the development standards would carry forward. This is just allowing it in a different zoning district.
Okay.
And based upon what they said, they meet the development standards.
I'll second. I have a motion from Dennis and a second from Pat. All those in favor, raise the right hand. Opposed?
So when will it go in? How soon?
Production's like about 4 to 6 weeks. So with install.
Before it gets 90 degrees in.
Huh?
Before it gets 90 degrees?
Yes. Yeah, it will be good.
It's very attractive.
Yeah, it's nice.
Actually, yeah, Amanda did mention one quick thing. Be careful about putting information up for other businesses, because that's off-premise signage.
Yeah.
Which, even though we are content neutral by and large, off-premise signage is still constitutes a billboard and does present some issues. So keep that in mind. I can't say that we can really watch it too closely, but do not make it a regular practice is probably the best advice. So, right, attorney?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the next order of business. We have 25-C-SE-1. Dalton McDonald asked for a special exception for a home occupation dog grooming at 106 Cul De Sac Lane. Staff report, Nathan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, this is a special exception at 106 Cul De Sac Lane. I just love that name. Zoned R1, single family residential, 12,000 square feet, give or take, for the lot size. The special exception is for a traffic generating home occupation, specifically for dog grooming. What is being proposed is to remodel the existing 8x12 shed for the dog grooming business. The proposed hours are Thursday and Friday from 3 to 6 and Saturday 10 to 5. Approximately 3 to 5 customers per day by appointment only, with scheduling such that there would not be overlap between customers, or not intentional overlap between customers anyway. Dogs would be kept inside except when in the fenced yard, and that would still be kept to a minimum. There would be some signage, being one removable yard sign and a window cling sign in the front window. For parking for the customer, being that they only would intend to have one customer at a time, only one parking space would be needed. That is proposed to be gravel, complementing the legal non-conforming gravel driveway. I leave that up to your consideration whether that's something that can be kept gravel, or whether it would need to be paved, and or whether the entire driveway needs to be brought up to being pavement. Really how you want to interpret that section of the code. Going to the reference materials, you can see the overall lay of the land here with the site there in the center. Closer view, the shed in question to be used is right there off to the east side of the house. Site plan noting the location of the parking, basically immediately south and to the east, south of the shed, east side of the existing driveway. Oblique view, just giving you a little bit more perspective. I won't go through all of the performance criteria, or excuse me, review criteria. Generally speaking, other than noise and odors related to dogs, everything else about the proposal does seem to be pretty in line with performance standards. And as per their submission, the dogs would be primarily kept inside, so that should mitigate pretty much all the noise. And being only one customer dog on site at any time, that should also keep things in place. The only thing might be to have a commitment to regularly remove any dog excrement, just so that an odor couldn't possibly become a issue. So staff suggested conditions 1 and 2 are pretty standard. Number 3, like I said, I found that I messed up. Number 3 actually duplicates number 9, which is more detailed, so use number 9. 4 and 5 are related back to the petitioner's own statement. However, in order to give some allowance, not more than 2 dogs being on site at one time, not including any that are owned by the petitioner. That's just in case a customer might bring 2 at once or something. I just don't want to be out there policing every dog. Number 6, again, related back to the petitioner's statement that dogs would be kept inside or within the fenced yard. Number 7, appropriate permits to be obtained for the remodeling structure and for any signage. Number 8 is what I just mentioned. Number 9 is what I mentioned about the parking space. And then the board will need to determine whether it is acceptable to continue the existing gravel for this parking space, or whether it needs to be paved, or whether the whole thing needs to be paved. Again, depending on how you interpret the code and how it applies to this special exception. One other quick item. We were requested, Kathy, even though she's not able to participate tonight, Kathy did request the covenants for the subdivision to be obtained, and so that was in the electronic packet. It is noted that the covenants do state that the lots are quote-unquote for residential uses only. That is open for interpretation based upon the age of this subdivision. Home occupations were only just starting to become a defined term. Home occupations are, as you know, businesses that fit into residential areas, and when we have special exceptions, that's our intent, is to make sure they fit. Modern covenants tend to say for residential purposes only, including any permissible home occupations. But again, because of the age, I feel that it just didn't include that provision because it's just too old. But if it were newer, it likely would. But again, it does, however, state very plain language, it's for residential purposes only, and this is definitely a business. So take that for what it's worth. You don't enforce covenants, but it may influence your overall decision. That's why I highlighted it. That's why Kathy was interested as well. So with that, any questions for me?
I don't believe so. Anybody?
Nope.
All right. Will the petitioner like to come to the podium and state your name and address and kind of give us any other information that Nathan didn't cover?
Hello, Dalton McDonald, 106 Cul De Sac Lane. So the main thing is the driveway. We have talked about having chip and seal done on the driveway. The driveway will need to be redone, so that would be the whole entire length, and then we would create a new parking space kind of up to the shed or the building. So that would be taken care of this summer. And then I know we had some people that were concerned about barking. Doing one dog at a time should eliminate that. We have thrown around the idea of maybe having some special devices on the property that would eliminate barking if it was excessive. So basically, humans don't hear it, it's only dog. It's basically just a high-pitched device. So it doesn't shock the dog, it doesn't hurt the dog. It's just a box that would set inside that basically would eliminate barking. But rarely I find that we don't normally have barking too much. So we give customers, 15 minutes to have their dogs picked up. And then the other issue was we would have a pet waste company come in and remove that for us. So there wouldn't be any pet waste either outside the premise or inside of the fence. So they would come regular. We don't plan to do a lot of business. We're only open 3 days a week. I have a full-time job that I plan to keep. So more or less a hobby, but it will be a business. So that's kind of.
Have you already been doing this? Like, did you start prior to asking?
So I'm originally from Ohio, and then I moved here for love. So I groomed in Ohio for 16 years, and then needed a change. So I took a job at a school, and I kind of do some of their maintenance. So I'm just now getting back into grooming. But yeah, it's been 16 years professionally. So, but I would be new to this area. So.
Okay. Is there any other houses in the cul-de-sac that have the stone driveway?
No, we're the only one left. So you would have all basically asphalt, and then I think only one is concrete to us. But yeah, they all had stone at some time, and then they magically updated. But yeah, when we bought the house, it was kind of slowly needed to be updated. And I guess the previous people that lived there didn't take too good care of it. So over the winter, of course, the driveway is just not. It's going to be redone this summer. So.
You say you are planning on a chip and seal, or is that more like a?
So from my understanding, it's basically like an asphalt driveway, but it's kind of like broken up asphalt.
So it's millings, maybe.
Just the buildings.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
And then they basically sill over top that, and then you would maintain it just like an asphalt driveway. So.
All right, so that's in the plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it needs to be done. And then as far as signage goes, we do have one, that's removable out by the yard. It probably will never be there, because, the more you advertise, so to speak, the busier you get. And so we'll probably only mainly really have a sign on the actual shed, so to speak. So.
Yeah, word of mouth might cause you more work than you can.
Yeah, and that's our plan eventually. If we get overly busy, we've already been looking at commercial spaces in the area. So if it was to get too busy, we would either put this up for sale, and move out to the country, or we would find a commercial space, which is kind of what we want, but we haven't been able to find anything. I guess not necessarily that would fit our needs, but we want something, maybe a little further out, and then, being on the square. Sometimes when you're on the square, it's a little hard to park, and people's trying to get their dogs out, and, so eventually that is our goal. If we get overly busy, we would just shut down and start looking for a commercial property, which we have our real estate doing, but Columbia City's popular, so you know how that goes. Everything is hot real estate here in Columbia City. So.
All right.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions for the gentleman? Thank you.
I have one.
Oh.
Well, and I don't know, it might go back to you. Homeowners Association, is there anything like that? You were talking about covenants for the subdivision, but is there anybody that's taking care of that or seeing to that, or?
When I read through the covenants, did not find that there was a provision to set up an association.
Okay.
So the covenants would be enforced individuals
Okay.
or groups
That's what
of
I kinda
individuals.
figured.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak on behalf of the petitioner? Is there anyone here to speak against the petitioner? Hearing none, I close the floor and open it to board discussion or motion.
A motion to approve.
I second that.
Do you want to? Do you want to say anything about the paving?
I think we should put that in there, that the paving be done
Within
at least a
couple
year
years or a year. Within a year.
by this time next year.
Okay. All right. So we'll put the condition on for
On
doing
item number 9.
Yep.
Okay.
That'd be good.
All right,
So-
did I get that out succinctly enough or not?
Yes.
So to reiterate it, motion to approve with staff's conditions, except for number 3, which is duplicated, and the clarification of number 9 that the paving, which could include chip and seal, be done within 1 year.
That's correct.
Correct. All right. I have a motion by Tony and a second from Dennis. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Congratulations. Nathan, we have any other business tonight?
Report. I do have a reminder here for y'all about the 5th Monday training session coming up at the end of the month, March 31st, 6 p.m. It'll be here in the Government Center, and the topic will be Ask Me Anything Part 2, so picking back up from last January's topic and kind of filling in some more of the topics we hadn't gotten to and a few that have come up since then. So if you have any other questions that you want me to add that you can think of, I can add those into the mix. Pat, what am I doing here is probably too broad.
That was good.
But yeah, I do have, it's a real wide variety of topics that they can attest to that we covered last January, and we only hit maybe a quarter of the overall slides. So
And what time is that?
that's 6 o'clock here on Monday the 31st. So yeah, I just have that reminder.
So then Tuesday night, the 1st, we'll have the BZA meeting, right?
April 1st.
Assuming that you have a meeting, which do we have anything filed?
Mhm.
So yes,
April 1st?
yep, you'll double up.
Fool's Day.
Oh, that's what I was saying. April 1st?
The fool's coming.
And then planning meetings the following Monday.
Yes, and I think
I don't think I have anything yet, but I'm expecting something.
Okay.
So I don't have anything yet, but
yeah.
Okay.
we also have
Anything else?
Oh yeah, okay. I guess we have a new Tom. So Tom, our permitting tech, departed us in January. Went over to the assessor's office. So that left us open, and we snagged another more farm store employee, Travis Sheets. So he started yesterday. So thank you, Moore, Farm Stores for being great on customer service
Thanks,
training.
Brian.
But yeah, Travis is comes with a lot of customer service background, of course, and is excited about learning something that's not related to power equipment and tools. So excited to have him on board.
Okay.
He hasn't left as of earlier today. I think he's coming back tomorrow.
Good.
Anything else I forgot? Probably. Yeah, well, they don't get to participate, I don't think. So. Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
We have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
The library also always does pie day and pie. There's